there, friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Alderon and I are here today to talk to you about some more books that we thought were just some of the best books that we read last year in 2023. So if you missed last week's video, we were talking about how we are numbering all these books that we read because there were so many books. I read well over 400 books last year, and it was really hard to narrow it down, but I did. Last week I talked about my top five favorite books I read last year, and this week we're actually going to be talking about the 5 runners up. So that doesn't mean that they weren't wonderful or they weren't fantastic. It's really just because I didn't want to talk about the top 10 all in one video because it would have been forever long. So I split it up, top 5 last week and the 5 runners up today. So these books were just absolutely fantastic. There were books that I really loved, but they might not be ones that you've heard of, or maybe you read them and thought, oh, well, I didn't think this was as great. I can't believe that Miss Rebecca didn't talk about such and such book. And that's the beauty of reading, right, friends? Is that everybody comes to books in a different way, and books reach people in different ways. And you and I could read the same exact book and come away from it feeling completely different. That is the magic and the power of a good book. Right, Alderon? So today we're going to be talking about 5 really special books that I loved among some of the other ones that I read last year. So rounding it out at number 5, we want to start with The Lost Library by Rebecca Stead. Now, this book is very short. It's less than 200 pages, I want to say. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just over 200 pages, 206 pages. So not a very long book at all. I read it in one sitting. You might be able to do that too. And this book is really cool because it's told from a few different points of view. So it tells the point of view of our protagonist, who is this 11-year-old boy living in a town without a library. What? Can you imagine living in a town without a library? I sure can't. That sounds horrible. The other point of view is from a ghost, a librarian ghost. Okay, I'm already hooked. And the third point of view is from a cat who is a guardian of books. Well, what books if there's no library, right? Well, seemingly overnight in the town, a mysterious little free library pops up and is guarded by the cat. And our main character comes and he takes a couple books, but unbeknownst to him, these books have a real significance and history to not only the town, but of his own family as well. So this book is really cool because it's trying to piece together this mystery of something that happened in the past that caused the town to not have a library anymore, and how that's related to his own family. So you get, like I said, the 3 points of view, which is really interesting and fun. Maybe there's one of these 3 points of view that you like more than another. I personally really loved the ghost librarian, obviously, and the cat's point of view, but maybe you will like the main character protagonist point of view instead best. It's really fun, and trying to piece together what happened was just a absolute blast. And of course, you know, I am just such a sucker for books that are about books and the importance of books and the beauty of books. I love stories that focus on that. So the writing was really fantastic. I absolutely adored this book. Super cute. The Lost Library. Now, number 4 is actually pretty curious, even though curious is in the title, because this book is also a bit of a mystery. And the reason I really liked this book is because it was just a pure, unfiltered mystery that I just loved trying to figure out. So this book is called The Curious Vanishing of Beatrice Willoughby, and it's by G.Z. Schmidt. The Curious Vanishing of Beatrice Willoughby. Now, even this cover sort of looks very haunting, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Well, if you've ever played the game Clue or watched the really old movie Clue, this is what that book really reminded me of. So you have a cast of characters, and there is a mystery at the heart of the story, and you're trying to figure out which of these characters had something to do with this mystery. And you're trying to figure this out along with the main character, a young boy named Dewey. So basically, in this book, there was a disappearance of Beatrice Willoughby, this young girl in town. Many years ago, there was a party at Halloween every year that this family threw, and at this party, This little girl disappeared and was never found again. So now, many years later, this family, once they have gotten out of jail, because it was never proven that they did anything, are hosting another party. And the people that have been invited are all people that were there the night of the disappearance. And except for one family who is invited, who isn't really invited, but they are anyway. And that's where Dewey comes into play. So you've got all the people here that were at this thing, and we're trying to figure out who had something to do with this girl's disappearance. And you're putting together the clues and everything along with Dewey, and it's just so much fun. I don't know, you know, a lot of times you read a mystery, or I read a mystery, and there's something else going on too. It's like a mystery with a tied into a historical book, or a mystery tied into a fantasy book, or something like that. This is just a pure mystery, plain and simple, and I was just here for it. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Lots of twists that I did not see coming at all. It was just a lot of fun. If you like trying to piece together things, if you like trying to figure out clues and puzzles and stuff like that, give this one a try. I think you will enjoy it quite a bit. The Curious Vanishing of Beatrice Willoughby. All right, moving right along. Now we're at number 3. And this is one that I've definitely talked about before, so I won't linger too much on the story because I know you've heard me talk about it before. The Legends of Lotus Island. Specifically, the second book in the series, because that's the one I read last year, Into the Shadow Mist. Now, this is a book that is a very standard fantasy story, but there are a couple things about it that really set it apart that make it very special. So it's a story about a girl named Plum and her friends that are learning to be guardians. And guardians are basically these magical beings who can turn into animals, and they can help nature and the people. And they're basically like earth protectors, pretty much, right? So they protect the world, they protect nature, and they are learning to hone in their powers to do this. So the second book in the series is about Plum trying to find her place on this path of hers, because she's coming to her powers a little bit differently than her friends, and it's scaring her because she's afraid that if she doesn't, you know, become like the rest of her friends, she might be sent away and not get to finish how to learn to be a guardian. So they're sent to this mysterious isle to learn from this master. And of course, along the way, there is a dangerous event that happens, and they need to step in to try to save nature from what is going on. So it's a pretty standard fantasy story, right? Girl with special powers has to try to save the world. But there's a couple things about this book that really set it apart. First of all, I love everything that Christina Soontornvat has written. She's fantastic. All of her books I love, and that was what drew me to this series in the first place, was because I saw it was written by her, and I was like, well, I would read her grocery shopping list if she came out with it, because I just love her writing so much. Her writing is very fun, it's engaging, and the most important thing is it's very unique. Even if this is a sort of story that you feel like you've read a million times before, young girl goes on a quest, she's got powers, so on and so forth. It's done in a really unique way. The world is really different. The magical powers and the guardianship is really unique and fun. And it's just really great. And the friendship between the characters is just fantastic. Now, the two things that I really, really liked about this book are, first of all, there are really cute and beautiful illustrations throughout the story that help just set the story up, and I just love it. I love the illustrations. I'm trying to find a really good one here that just enhance your reading experience. The other thing about this book is it's very short. Look at how short this book is. This series is a perfect series for reluctant readers, for young people who are maybe really having a hard time getting into books or getting into reading. It's fantastic. The chapters are short. There's illustrations that are absolutely gorgeous that help move the story along. This is a perfect book for reluctant readers, or even if you are not a reluctant reader, but you're just looking for something, you know, short that you want to jump into and not have to sink a lot of time into it. This one. Love this series so much, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Legends of the Lotus Isle, Into the Shadow Mist. All right, we're getting down to the wire now, friends. We've got 2 more books, okay? 2 more books that were amongst my favorite of 2023. What are they going to be? Well, The first one, Skander and the Unicorn Thief by A.F. Steadman. Skander and the Unicorn Thief. So this book I actually wanted to read when it first came out in 2022, and I didn't get a chance to, even though I kept hearing so many things about it. Everybody was talking about this book. It was getting a lot of buzz. It was getting a lot of popularity. And I just never got around to it, unfortunately. So I finally got to read it last year, in 2023, and I was blown away and could not believe it took me so long. So first of all, look at how cool this cover is. It looks amazing, right? Kind of reminds you of Percy Jackson, right? That's what it made me think of too. So the thing that is really cool and unique about this is, I'm sure you've read stories about unicorns before, right? They're always just these beautiful, gentle, magical creatures, definitely powerful creatures, right? But you think of them and you think of beauty and purity and innocence. Not in this series. In this series, the unicorns are bloodthirsty, violent creatures. What? I don't think I have ever read a story in which unicorns were just like packs of drooling, maniac, feral animals that would rip you apart sooner than look at you. And that is what's going on in this book. So in this world, unicorns are dangerous, violent, unpredictable creatures. And Skander, the main character, desperately wants to be trained at the school to bond with a unicorn, because the only way you can really tame one, and I hesitate to use the word tame because even then it's not really like what you're thinking. Basically, you can bond with a unicorn and then you basically form this partnership where you can share each other's magic, and you can you know, participate in these different challenges and races and stuff like that. And yeah, that's basically the only way that you can do that. So essentially, you have to train, you have to pass a test to be admitted into the school. And the morning of Skander's test, something terribly goes wrong. I don't want to say what it is, and he thinks he will never get the opportunity to bond with a unicorn. But circumstances change, and he does. And he goes to the school on the island where all the unicorns are, and he gets to bond with one and discover his magical powers. And it is just so much fun. Like I said, what really drew me to this story was the uniqueness of the mythology with it, right? So like the unicorns being so different from what you're used to reading about unicorns, which is super fun. And honestly, another reason why I really loved this book was because I loved the style of writing. It did remind me a lot of Percy Jackson in all the good ways. So it was fun, it was funny, there were strong friendships in it, there was a ton of danger, there was so much action and adventure, there was mysteries, there was all this amazing stuff. Whew! This book was so much fun. I loved it so much, and I'm really looking forward to reading the sequel, which is out now. This is going to be part of a series. Books 1 and 2 are out, so if you are interested in this, make sure you pick up the second one as well, because there is a little bit of a cliffhanger on the end of this. Skander and the Unicorn Thief. All right, now we're up to the first book of my runners-up list. Okay, now this book, I'm going to be honest, when I was planning to read it, I was not expecting great things from it. And that was on my part. I had a little bit of a bias about it. And I was like, well, I'm going to give it a try. It's got a cute cover. And it was fantastic. I'm still thinking about this book. I recommend it all the time. I just think it is an absolute blast. So what book am I talking about? ChupaCarter by George Lopez. Look at how cute this cover is. Now, like I said, I had to get over my own biases when I picked this book up because it's by George Lopez. There's no picture here, but he is an actor and a comedian. And I'm going to be honest, when I come to start reading a book that is written by an actor or a comedian or a movie star or whatever, I usually don't expect great things from it because a lot of the times they're not great. I've read tons and tons of books, and for the most part, when I've read a book written by a celebrity or something, it's just not very good. So I was like, all right, this looks cute. I'll give it a try. I loved this book so much. I can't even begin to describe it to you. So why did I love this book? It was written really well. This is a book about a young boy named George who has been sent to live with his grandparents in New Mexico. He keeps getting in trouble where he's living with his mom, and his mom just wants to give him a change of pace, a new environment. So he gets sent to live with his grandparents in New Mexico. And along the way, you know, he starts getting into trouble. He attracts the attention of the bullies at this new school. The principal has sort of like honed in on him, and he's just not having a good time. His grandparents, particularly his grandmother, is a little bit distant and not as nurturing or loving as maybe he wants her to be. And then he meets Carter, who is a chupacabra. Now, a chupacabra is a mythical creature who usually is attributed with like eating goats and stealing livestock and stuff. And he and George become fast friends, and then they have to solve, you know, this little mystery in town. This book has my entire heart. Like I said, I loved it so much. I just thought it was such a sweet story, you know, and even though it is a very fun and funny story, I laughed out loud a bunch of times while reading it. There were also some serious notes too, especially dealing with like the bullying that George deals with in school, some of the racist comments that he gets from like the principal and other people. So it does deal with some serious topics too. But the main focus of the story is this beautiful friendship between George and Carter that just stole my heart. And there are also really, really adorable illustrations throughout the whole of it. And the illustrations are great because they really just lend a lot of value to the story, and they add so much more to it. It's just so cute. If you're looking for a book that is just pure fun, like I just got so much joy out of reading this book, please give this one a chance. I absolutely adored it. ChupaCarter by George Lopez. Well, there you have it. Those are my top 5 runners-up children's fiction books from 2023 that I read. Next week, we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite graphic novels. And I hope that these books sound really interesting and fun. And if so, please don't hesitate to pick them up from Farmington Community Library. They are there, so you can pick them up there. And thank you so much for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of the day.